Hi, I'm Mikey and you're watching City Lights on Novus TV. Tonight we are at the opening screening of the DOXA Documentary Film Festival. It's now in its 12th year and it's one of the best places to see some of the best documentaries from around the world. And on some special screenings, you get an inside point of view from the filmmakers themselves. So, let's see what's showing.
Drop.
How many films from how many different countries are you featuring this year?
Countries. I think it's probably around 40 or so. I mean, we have a lot of Canadian content, obviously, and we try to feature as many local filmmakers as we possibly can. And we get, hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of films. We have way more than we've ever had this year, which, they just kind of came pouring in the door.
What are you looking forward to other than what we just saw?
I always root for the underdog, and that's kind of the DOXA ethos, because that's essentially how the festival came into being. We've always sort of, been the dark horse, if you will, and showing films that otherwise wouldn't necessarily maybe have an audience or get as widely seen as we think they need to be. I like going off the beaten track. I like going through all of the submissions that come in, because that's where you find the real surprises and the things that you know nothing about until you stick them in your DVD player, and then you feel your hair blow back because it's this thing you've never seen before and knew nothing about, and it's fascinating.
Okay, I am here with Corey and Andrew, the filmmakers of what we just saw, Occupy the movie. That was a heck of a lot of work that you guys put into that. How long did that take and how many hours do you think you put into it?
Well, we committed to making the film in November of 2011. It was about a month and a half after the movement started, and we had it done by August 2012. So it was just madness for about 9 months straight. About 4 months of research, 2 months of shooting, 3 months of editing. And it was very challenging, like any film, but we had a real time crunch because we wanted to get the film out while it was still relevant.
There are so many different directions you could have gone with it. How did you decide which way to go?
Basically what I did is in the research phase, I really immersed myself in the social media atmosphere, and Facebook was integral to the film because it allowed me to keep a pulse, and Andrew would be sending me links saying, hey, check this out, and we really use social media as our tool to say yes and no to a lot of the things. And we could have went into student debt, we could have went into a lot of other items, and it just really turned out that we just found exactly the core essence of the things that made them angry and made them protest. Also finding the core essence of what defined them as protesters, and that was our dual focus with the film.
I think with what Priscilla Grimm says off the top, that the Occupy movement is a reaction to the toxic relationship between big business, banking, and media, that kind of lays out what our mandate is in the film right there. And that's why Corey put it right at the top of the film. It's like, this is what you're going to hear about for the next 90 minutes. So, yeah, keep it focused that way.
Mass arrests in New York today.
What's being called a mass day of action for the movement battling corporate greed.
Will the demonstrations continue, and will they remain peaceful?
For the first time in human history, we have a real shot at bringing down this, entire cadre of people who have directed our global economy into their pockets.
There's one threat to Occupy. What is it?
I think it's ourselves.
So I am with Mike. Your film Critical Mass is one of the ones being shown. Can you tell us what it's about?
It's a feature documentary about the impact of human population growth and consumption on the planet and on human psychology.
Why did you decide to do this particular film?
I've been interested in the subject of population for quite some time, but it's quite difficult to tackle a subject as broad as that without simply putting together some kind of bombardment of facts and figures. When I found out about the experiments of a doctor named John B. Calhoun at the National Institute of Mental Health near Washington, D.C. in the 60s and 70s, I found a narrative arc through which I could view the human story while having something that had a beginning, middle, and an end to present to an audience.
What is it about documentaries in particular that interests you?
I had no idea I was going to make a documentary. That's the God's honest truth. I was actually writing a script for what I thought would be my first feature, and then I found out about Calhoun's experiments, and this other idea that I'd had for a doc about this subject snapped into focus, and then the opportunity came up to actually interview some people, and then I had interviews in the can, and then I was in the States traveling around interviewing people there, and then I was making a documentary.
Back in the 1950s, we heard about some experiments done by a man called Calhoun, in which he put rats into a limited space and then gave them unlimited resources. The rat population started to grow. It reached a point where they could no longer function as rats. Their social structure collapsed. The population was in serious trouble.
When I was born in the late 1950s, the world population was at 3 billion. Now it's at almost 7 billion, so it's more than doubled within my lifetime.
Everybody expects that population is going to level off at 9 billion people, and they don't think that's a big problem, whereas as a matter of fact it's quite large for the world.
Dr. Calhoun, as a human being, after going through this experiment, what goes through your mind? Are you worried about the future of mankind?
Well, the DOXA Film Festival got off to a fantastic start. There are plenty of great movies to see, and Occupy the Movie is showing a few more times. So go to doxafestival.ca for all the details. I'm Mikey Evers, and you're watching City Lights on Novus TV.